Listen, listen. It is not whether you are Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Republican, or Democrat. It's if you are ready to fight for justice for all, no matter what label you are under. Listen, listen. The question is not whether can you die for me. The question is whether can you live for me. If we understand our differences, our similarities will have substance. Listen, listen. The struggle is real. We can and must win. Listen. We can and must win. Listen, listen. It is not whether you are Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Republican, or Democrat. It's if you are ready to fight for justice for all, no matter what label you are under. Listen, listen. The question is not whether can you die for me. The question is whether can you live for me. If we understand our differences, our similarities will have substance. Listen, listen. The struggle is real. We can and must win. Listen. We can and must win. Oh, we're on. Whoa, how's everybody doing this evening? It's that time again. It's a little bit after 6, and you know what? Being late today is my fault. It's been one of those days, folk. You know, it's really been one of those days. You know, and let me tell you what I did. Let me tell you what I did. While you're calling your friends and letting them know we're on, you know, while we're live here. Let me tell you exactly what I did. I had laid out the guests for the next 3 weeks, you know, because it's Women's History Month, and you know we had Betty Andrews, and that we had Audrey Kenneth, you know, dynamic women, and then this week was supposed to have Bishop Tammy Harris, and I thought I sent. You ever went to send a text and you think you sent it, and then you realize you didn't send a text? That's me. That's me. Anyway, she couldn't be here tonight, and I found out, and but she's gonna be here next week. She's gonna be here next week. Then the following week we're gonna have Mary Campbell's. But this week, tonight I messed up. I literally messed up. It's been one of those days, Plus, seriously, I did something to my neck. I know I didn't just sleep wrong, so I did. It's been the last couple of weeks, but it's like, and I think I'm gonna try some chiropractor, a massage, and acupuncture. Because you know what? Every time I go to the doctor, they give me some medication, and I don't want any medication. I'm sick of medication. But this whole side of my neck, I put a heating pad. Tonight I'm gonna sit in the sauna, infrared, and see if I can get that, that type of thing, and get, just to get my, self together. Because, boy, I turn my neck this way and I'm all right. See, I can do this now. But then when I'm driving or if I'm sitting there, I could be sitting there just like now and just having to turn my neck and it's on and kicking. And it stiffens. It stiffens right here. So if you got some home remedies, I'm open. Just text me tonight with these home remedies, I'm allowed to try, send me some if I gotta heat up some mustard and put some peanut butter in it and slap it on. Those old fashioned home remedies that, great great grandmother used to do. So I'm ready for that tonight. But anyway, this is one. It's been a day. I mean, it's really been, and it's beautiful outside today. It is really beautiful out there. I had my road dog with me, Bourbon. Y'all know, and I had my other, road dog with me, Jax and everything. But the wind was blowing a little bit too much. But anyway, I just, I started to bring them to the show tonight, but then, my neck acted up on me, so I just told them they had to wait. They had to wait till I get home, for to do that. Because, and then I was going to, honestly, listen, I was going to cancel tonight because of my neck. I was going to take a moment and, Langston had already got things set up already, so when he got things set up, I felt bad. And he said, we can go either way, Brother KO. He said it takes me. And then I talked to April, you know, and April, said, well, what do you want to do? Because she was looking for people today, the substitute, for the guests. I was talking to people today, but it was last minute. But the thing is that, what you want to do. So I said, I just want to talk to people just a little bit. I'm not even getting excited because if I turn and my neck stiffen up and I can't move my neck, you know, then you gotta call the ambulance and stuff and come get me, you know. I don't want that to happen. I don't want nobody to have to come and carry me out, because then they really give you medication. They be sticking IVs in my arm and stuff. And I'm not, you just have them days you don't want no IV. You have those days where you just want to chill. Because today was so beautiful out today. The wind kept blowing a little bit too much so. But I really can't complain because I was blessed to wake up, right? I had a good wake up this morning and listen, seriously. And, I guess, everybody knows this. But I had an event at my house last Tuesday night. Was it Tuesday night? I think last Wednesday. Last Wednesday night, I had an event at my house. And anyway, I worked up. Really got it cleaned. I, had Stanley steamer. They came in and did the carpet and cleaned the couch and. Just I got rid of, some of the little clutter and, stuff that I had around. And then today I started working on my closet and stuff like that. And you know what? It feels good to walk into a clean house. Not that my house was dirty before. Don't get me wrong now. Don't get it twisted. But it was really not. And today, it's really cool. And I was sitting around and, I was looking around and see, you got to understand, I live alone, right? Bachelor, I'm home and, but you just want to be able to say, hey, it looked nice. And I have a closet, man, seriously. And I'm not just babbling. I'm just saying I enjoy my day. It's been a day, but I enjoy the fact of waking up in the morning that I could literally walk in my closet and didn't have to step over nothing. You know, I got a walk-in closet. But anyway, but then and tonight I'm gonna literally, because of my neck, I'm gonna get in the sauna and that because when my neck's stiff, it sends a headache into my head and I don't know if y'all know, those who are listening now what a migraine headache does. You get a migraine, man, it's just too much. But I've been able to last, few weeks really get off into some documentaries and that type of thing. And you know my philosophy. I don't talk about political parties. I really don't, because, I think that that's a way to keep us, from really reaching out to one another. It keeps us more separated. I think religion is used to divide us. I believe that political parties, political discussions are used to divide us. So I don't get caught up in religion or the political parties, that type of thing. I go with what's real, because I don't know if all that's real, but I do know that with everything going on, that man, we're killing people around the world. But a statistic that I ran across, that just messed me up, it really did, is that they were showing me that we're almost 300,000 children are missing every year in the United States. That's a lot of babies. And they said the space between the ages of 11 and 14 years old, and mostly young girls. Now that says a lot that says a lot. That says there's a network set up, this trafficking thing that's going on. I mean, you're ruining lives, whoever's doing this. I'm just saying, when I made me, it made me sit back. It made me sit back and think. We have, listen now, we have babies, babies that are being taken, babies that these sick individuals are trafficking, misusing. I hadn't addressed, let me be clear, and really got into this over a good while, because I really had got, into a mode of, dealing with trafficking and fighting, for, laws to be passed and different things when, I read my first book about it, called The Franklin Cover-Up, which has been a couple of decades ago, maybe 2.5 decades ago, when we were doing the Franklin cover-up, and now they come up with the Epstein files, which actually, to me, is, you know, enlightening this generation and generations about what's going on. But the Franklin cover-up was the same thing, but it was closer to home here, because the Franklin cover basically tells a story about space about trafficking, about what out of Omaha, based out of Omaha, Des Moines, and basically here in the Midwest. And it exposed a lot that was going on. In fact, uh, Johnny Gosch was named in it, and this individual actually who testified that he actually met Johnny Gosch during this ordeal. And now, as I'm hearing more, especially that I'm talking to individuals about the Epstein, files, and people are telling me, it makes me sick to my stomach. So, knowing what the Franklin cover-up 2.5 decades ago, and I'm dealing with that and trying to get some laws in here, and the people died that actually was exposing this stuff, and now hearing about, the Epstein files, and then getting it, seeing about 300,000 babies, being snatched, and see, these are things that we don't talk about because a lot of us don't believe. And see, here's the thing: if if you get caught up, if you get caught up on political parties, then you're not thinking about the babies that are being snatched. You're not thinking about the domestic crisis, abuse crisis we have in this country. You're not thinking about, the issues that we need to be actually addressing, to be able to stop some of this stuff from going on because you're too busy, being hoodwinked and bamboozled and focusing on some other things. And I just thought about that, and it touches me because when you look at it, and I say this also because I was on the phone with my sister, and y'all know my sister's is my rock. I love my baby sister without a doubt, with ounce, every ounce of breath I have in me. And I was listening to her. She was crying on the phone because of the latest death that we have with the young lady named Tay. And and she was telling me about the situation. In fact, the night that it happened, my sister called me, and was telling me because her and my niece Donna were at the scene. And in these last few days, they released her color. Her favorite color was purple, and they released it. But we lose young people. We're losing young people, not just to trafficking, not just to abuse, domestic abuse, also to mental health. We're losing people because we're not dealing with, the issues that we need to be able to deal with and in helping, the people in our community that need to be helped. And let me tell you that this does not have to be something that a stranger. Doesn't have to be a stranger that we're talking about. This could be someone in your own family with mental health issues. This is someone within your own family could have mental health issues. And you look at what services are there for these individuals. Even if you're dealing with domestic abuse, that can be mental abuse, physical abuse, or you're dealing with trafficking and that type of thing. What are the systems set up to help these family members, that help individuals that are victims? And I think I'm safe to call them victims, but I don't want to just call them survivors because I think mental illness, when you talk about just surviving, that's no way to live. When you're talking about trafficking, and that's no way to live. When you're talking about domestic abuse and mental and physical abuse, that's no way to live. We have to be able to sit down and say with one another, these are systems that we have in place. And we need a government that helps us deal with those systems. And now, if you disagree or you agree with me, your comments will be important to me tonight. Because, like I said, this has been a day for me. This has been a very serious day, a thoughtful day. In fact, a few weeks, as you know, this has really touched me. And when something touches me and I get an opportunity to talk about it a little bit, I want to share it with you because I want to know what you're thinking. You may have, some resources that I may not know about that you'll be able to put, and make comments about so we know, about some of these, resources that can help people. And we can, put that all together because, yeah, it just, to have children having to be subjected to any kind of abuse is criminal. Because as they grow to become adults, that trauma is still with them. That trauma is still there. And because a lot of us get caught up in the smoke screens and the hoodwinking and the bamboozling, you know, we're not giving out that love and being able to provide those resources that we need to these individuals. Of course, there's people who are not. Of course, there's people who are healthy to a certain degree mentally. Yeah, but you also know how I feel. I feel there's two kinds of people in the world today. There's the functional dysfunctional, and just dysfunctional. Yeah, but yeah, that's my opinion. So just you heard that here. But I think that when you are a functioning dysfunctional person, you have access. You have learned to survive and to work in a society that unfortunately is working against most of our beliefs, most of our human nature, our human beliefs, our humanity is stopping us from being human, to quit being just sensitive to individuals. I'm not saying everybody, I'm not doing a blanket. I'm saying most of us though, we have to work hard just to keep our humanity intact, just to keep what we need to do to be human and to treat others as human beings. Because, hey, listen, if someone in your life, a relative, a friend is being abused mentally, physically, we have to be able to have enough within us to offer that help, to get help. And I know you can't help anybody till they're ready to help themselves, but we have to keep those resources available. And we have to begin to speak out. And a lot of times speaking out doesn't mean you're speaking directly to that individual. Sometimes you're doing panel discussions. Sometimes you're making a list of support groups, not after the fact, not after a tragedy. But we should have every nonprofit organization, every church should have a list of places for people to go that need help. Even addiction, you should have something in your church, in your organization. There's nothing wrong with having a list in your home. So if you know of someone, you can actually give them a list. You can say, when you're ready, here, when you're ready, here, take this. There's help here. There's help here. But sometimes we're so scared to speak up because we don't know how people will react. People, we have to quit being scared. We have to quit being scared to stand for what is right. We have to quit being scared to be upfront because we are losing individuals on several levels. It's time for us to stand up and be counted. It's fine, and that's, you really find out that it's not hard to do. And I'm not, and listen. You can do it at a rally. The key with doing it at a rally is after the rally, you're putting things in place. You're implementing plans, to be able to address. Rallies are good to rally the people, but we have to do more than just rally the people. We have to call people to action. We have to call people to action to be able to say to the people making the laws, to the people who are running these companies, especially the insurance companies, we got to be able to say this is what we have to do. Do you realize they have medicines, right? They have drugs, and that they can give you. They have drugs that they can give someone who having mental health issues, that are having anger issues, that, you know, they have drugs that can wake you up in the morning, put you to sleep at night, get you through the day. Is that the way you want to function? You don't want to function that way. Not when we can do, you know, not when we can correct, not when we can correct certain things in our lives, correct how we're thinking, because it's in our mind. And even to the point, you know, when you have, listen, when you read these case studies and you have a child that's been taking squirrels and killing squirrels, taking dogs and doing harm to dogs and other pets. If you see a child doing that, you don't wait till the child gets up to be, you know, in a young adult before you say, well, maybe I need to get them help. No, you need to get them help before then. You need to speak out before then. You can't just let that go by. You got to get them help way before then and say, hey, you know, this child needs some help, you know, so let me see what I can do to get that child some help. You can't wait till they get older and they're abusing their mate. Now, I'm not saying everybody who's abusing kills some animal, but I'm just saying if you see those anger tendencies, you can't wait till they get on. They're abusing their mate, or they're picking up a gun and going shooting up a school, or they're abusing children. No, you got to start speaking up now. You got to stand up and speak out. Don't wait when you see that happening, and then you say, I knew that child was going to have some problem. I saw him do that. I just sense it. You know, no, it's time. But you know, one of the best way to do that too? You be an example. You be an example of putting your life together. You be an example of showing that when and you don't have to meddle in people's business. What you have to do is show what your business is about. And I say this, you know, this is my go-to, you know, and I say this because you need to talk to your children. You need to give them reality. You need to say something to them that, listen, let's have a real conversation. Let's sit down and let's talk. Because these are things that's going on in the world. You don't have to take a child and make them an adult. You just have to have them understand. It's not, you know, and I'm saying just different things like, this is what's going on in the world. This is what you're seeing taking place. I'm telling you as an adult to you as a child so you would know, so you're aware of what to look for. You know, if you're in school, you know, if you're at a camp, yeah, if you're on a team, a swim team, a soccer team, a baseball team, a football team, these are things you need to look for. And I'm telling you this because you're my child. I'm telling you this because this is what you need to know. There's nothing wrong with you understanding what we have to deal with. No. And there's nothing wrong with you talking to your baby. There's nothing wrong with you learning even yourself. Learning who you are. Learning about your issues. We all have issues. I mean, I grew up without a father. You know, I mean, I knew who my dad was, but there's a father, a man in my life. I grew up without a man, and it caused me some issues. And I also grew up being a youngster, fighting for what is right, fighting human, for human rights. Because one thing I realized when I was young, you can't have civil rights if you don't have human rights. So if we're not treating individuals like human beings, and that's what in trafficking, you're not treating an individual like a human being. You're not doing that. If in you're not treating an individual like a human being if you're being an abuser. If you're domestic abusing somebody, if you're mentally abusing them, you're not treating them like a human being. So we have to, how do you treat someone like a human being? You know how you want to be treated. You know how you want somebody to come up and talk with you and be nice to you and to love you. So if you want that for you and you want that for your children, then you need to educate your babies. You need to educate yourself. You need to educate because you want to know and you want to tell people this is what you want to do as a human being. And that's not only domestically in this country, that's internationally. You can't just kill people at the whim because you want some power or you want some land. You can't just turn around and just do what you want to do. Life isn't that way. It's not built that way. People, a lot of times, are built that way because they have lost their humanity. They have lost it because of a lot of people, because of the way they've been treated. Treat me like a human being. Now, I don't want to get into, we're all this color and we're all that color, but if we cut each other, we all bleed. No, I'm talking about treatment, how you treat another individual. I'm talking about how we must be able to stand up with that example on how we treat each other. That's what we have to be able to do. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of fake love. I'm tired of fake friendships. I'm tired of people being fake, talking about they care about the community. I'm tired of people running around and, all they trying to do is make a name for themselves or trying to be the big boss or in the family or trying to be, you just tired. And understand that we have to begin to show tough love, y'all. If you have somebody that's like that around you, it's time to get away from them. It's time to back up. It's time to say, let's put some brakes on this. I am not going to be judgmental, but I have to be able to keep my peace. I have to be able to do what I have to do. And sometimes when you have to walk away from somebody, it hurts. It really hurts. It tears your insides up. But sometimes you just have to walk away. Sometimes you got to say goodbye. Sometimes you got to say adios. Those are the things that are hard that you have to make some decisions for. And you got to tell your babies, it's okay to back away from people. That don't mean you're mean. That don't mean that's your issue. It means you're not going to allow somebody else's issue to become your child's issue or become your issue. How many out there right now, seriously, be honest with yourself. I wish you were a live audience so I could catch those lying. How many right now, seriously, have taken on other people's issues? How many has ever taken on other people's issue? And you realize the other people's issue instead of just doing little things that you see bring a smile to people's face, that you being kind. It's not hard to be kind. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I'm not. I'm not wrong. It's not hard to be kind. It's not hard to show. Let me tell you something that, little things. Let me tell you, just lit my heart up. Just lit straight up. Just little things for me. See, you don't have to do big things. That don't mean I won't take big things. Let me be clear. But just little things just light me up. I get happy like a fat rat in the cheese factory in Switzerland. But anyway, we have, you know, someone that's close to me and my family, you know, and they wanted a dog, and they're on a fixed income, and I don't name no names, but they want a dog. So we got to pulling resources, to get because this person wanted a dog so bad. I'm telling you, treat people as human beings. That she reached out. He reached out to some people. He reached out to some people, and he got beat out of $200 here, and got beat out of some money there, with people promising to give him this dog. Just excited, just excited. And they call and say, "Hey, I can't get beat. I don't have that kind of money." But I was able to reach out to some other people. And, we reached out to some people at ARL and reached out to some other people that I know who care, who care. And guess what? We able to narrow down the dog. A little dog, big head dog, cute dog, but big head dog. And you know what? And we helped get the dog. We got we had picked the person up, we had to go. But the joy, seeing this person and this dog unite, boy, I just grinning. It feels so good inside to see that. Now, see, that was a little thing, but it was so huge to the person who got the dog. It was small to me, but it was a huge, man. I got the dog. I got pictures of this big head dog. And here's the thing, just little thing. The person called me and said, I'm trying to stop him from biting. It's a little puppy, 3-4 months old, biting. And Langston just told me, biting, and said, because the dog wouldn't let me put a sweat on him. I said, I'll bite you too if you try to put a sweat on me in the spring. But the key was they were working. He was so happy with this dog. Now, this was huge, man. For me, it just brought a smile. Why? Because I'm not going to give you no names or anything, and I'm not saying it because I want you to woo, Kale, woo, the people that helped you. No, are the people involved, woo. No, I'm telling you because the little things that you do to help someone else, even your child, even yourself, can bring you so much joy. You don't know what somebody else is going through. You don't know the issue that somebody else is having, but your kindness may make a world of difference to them. Your kindness, and especially when you say pay it forward. Seriously, let me tell you, just human how people are looking for this. And most of you know, if you ever see me at the farmers market with one of my birds or a couple of my birds, and my family member, my feather family member, and we're down at the farmers market, and the birds are on people's shoulders and on their arms, and the kids, and is watching some of the adults who are scared to death, and they say, well, no, let me do it, let me do it, and they put the bird on the arm to show the kid that they ain't scared, but then you see them shaking and they do it, but the smiles that are on the face. And now let me show you, let me show you what I do. And I'm not saying this for you to applaud or anything else. I'm just sharing this because I think you need to understand when I say little things. And some people reach in their pocket and they say, "Here, this is for the birds." They pull out some money, greens, and they pull out some money, and I say, "Here, no, I don't want your money. But what I want you to do is pay it forward. If you see a child that you can buy some school supplies for, if you know a teacher that you can donate to the classroom to help the children, pay it forward. You do that." Now, here's the thing. When you see the parent or the adults and the eyes light up saying, "Yeah, I can pay it forward." Yeah, now, do I have statistics how many people do that? No. But do I watch in their eyes? Do I watch their body language and say, "Yeah"? I've actually seen, let me be clear, I've actually seen some of those same individuals be at the farmer's market and see a child, and that child wants something, and the mom said, "No, we can't get that." And I watched the individual actually get it and give it to the child. And the mother saying, thank you," or the father saying thank you, but especially more mothers than I see fathers saying, thank you. What do I owe you?" And I seen the person, actually, and heard the person say, "Pay it forward. Pay it forward." You see, paying it forward becomes contagious when you stand up for what's right. So you don't have to tell people what you do or what you receive. All you have to do is do it from your heart, and then watch your ripple effect take place and watch people get the help that they need. All you have to do is stand up and be counted for. Stand up and speak out against the ills. Stand up and speak out or reach out to help individuals. I told you a couple of weeks ago that when I'm when I'm driving and I pull up and the person standing there with the sign, if I got some money in my pocket, I give it. I don't try to judge the person. I don't know the person. The person may take my money and go get in a Cadillac. I don't know. Or the person may take my money and really find them something to eat. I don't know. That's not for me. For me, it's being able to have something in my pocket to be able to give this person. But I do got to say, I'm biased. I'm very biased. I'm very, very biased. And, honesty means a lot to me. Being honest means, a great deal to me. I love when people are, and when I see that person, April, with a sign that holds it up like this here and says, "I'm not looking for a job. I'm not looking for a house. I just want money to buy a beer." When I see that sign, if I got some change, I give that person some change. Yes, I do. And maybe I shouldn't, but I do. Because honesty means a lot. And do you know how far honesty goes when you're educating your baby? Do you know how far honesty goes when you're being honest with yourself? You know how far that goes? Yeah. It goes a long way. It goes a long way because, that's what people are looking for. They're looking for hope and they're looking for honesty. That's what they're looking for. But I just wanted to, I messed up on the guest tonight, but I just wanted to come and say a few words because those are things that are on my mind. Real conversation. Those are things on my mind right now. The babies, the wars that are happening, the genocides that are taking place, and I want to tell you, just stand up. Help us do what we need to do. Help us to be able to bring the truth to people. That's all I need to do. Just bring some truth. And you can continue helping us do this right here on Real Conversations with the Kale by donating, to cvonline.us. That's cvonline.us. Just go right on there. You can donate. You can, donate your time. If you don't have money, you can donate your time. Come out of your comfort zone and, come help with the babies. We're getting ready to start our summer program, and We're asking everybody, when you see our concession stand out there, we're not going to charge you $8 for a snow cone, or we're not going to charge you, for the, what do they call that, candy cane stuff? Is that what it is? Cotton candy. The cotton candy and the different things. We're not going to charge you. We're asking you to make a donation to keep our summer program going. Donate to the kids, the children that are out there, the babies that are out there that are providing the snow cones, that are providing the cotton candy, that are going to be providing the hot dogs and the popcorn and stuff like that. Donate. We're just asking you for to donate. Donate so other children that don't have the money can come and get something from there. That's all we want you to do. And then we're asking you to, sponsor this show, sponsor this podcast. Be a sponsor of this podcast so we can shout your name on the rooftops, talking about how you sponsored us here. Yeah, that's all we're asking. That's all we're asking you to do. Because that's what time is. We got to reach out to one another. Summer's coming. School's getting ready to be out. Children, our babies, young adults are going to be looking for jobs. They're going to be out there. Some of our babies, and we see it every year, are going to be running the streets 2, 3 o'clock in the morning because the parents aren't home or are doing something else. And, that's not acceptable anymore. Because the way the climate is today, I just told you, 300,000 children a year are missing. 11 to 14 years old, 300,000 for various reasons. But they're missing. Why would you put your child in danger? It's time to stand up, folks. It's time to reach out. And if you don't reach out here at Creative Visions, then volunteer at the Wookie House. Urban Dreams starts right here. Volunteer at the different places that you can to be able to help. If you're more comfortable someplace else, go there and volunteer. My baby sister, I watch her, boy. She runs a daycare, and I watch the care she puts in them kids. And sometimes I say, God bless America. Because not only that, I'll call, she can't talk to me because she's taking care of the babies. And I joke with her, I said, well, I'm coming over there during nap time because I want a snack and I'm going to take a nap too. But that's my baby. I hear Satira in her daycare talking about her children. I watch, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, Langston and watching his children, him and his children. April and her child. I watch these people, man. I watch these beautiful parents taking care of their babies. I watch the results of individuals caring in the way that they care. I watch my COO care about her children. I watch people care. And, and I have more adopted children than a little bit. Not physically. Now, let me be clear. They call me Papa or Dad and, that type of thing. And, even in the neighborhood, they say they're Papa, that's Uncle. I really don't like Uncle because that has such negative connotations sometimes from just children in the neighborhood. I like Papa. But I watch the individuals. All I'm saying is, because we're getting ready to close, I'm not going to keep you long. I just want to say to you, without a doubt, my beloved, that it's time to stand up for justice. It's time to stand up for peace. It's time to stand up for love, man. That love. It's time. It's time for us to reach out and pull our babies even closer. Time to pull each other closer to be able to have that peace and that respect and that love. It's time for that now. It's time for us to stand up for justice no matter what the ills are. It's time for us to reach out. Because I tell you all the time, the struggle is real. We can and must win. That's what we have to do. But I'm gonna get out of here a little early. I want to thank Brenda for watching. Cynthia, thank you for coming on. Stephen, Garrett, I want to thank you for coming on. And I want to thank Kelly. I see Kelly joined us. Gerald Evans joined us. I see that one. Thank you. And I'll get her in a minute. DeMar White, I want to thank you. Sandy, I want to thank you. Matthew Bruce, keep struggling, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. We need, young brothers out there doing what you need to do. Carolyn, I want to thank you. Francis, I want to thank you. Without that, Keisha, I see you. You joined us. Debbie Woodsmith, I see you with us. I want to thank all of you. Sandra, Satar, Duncan, I see you with us. Man, Gaylena, thank you. That's my daughter. I want to say thank you for being there. Without a doubt. There's a host of people. If I missed you, charge it to my head and not to my heart, because we had a lot of people watching tonight. And, again, Kelly, I mean it, stand up. And and the thing is, I'll take 2 minutes if you got a comment or a question, Jaden or anybody that, if you got 2 minutes, because I'm gonna get out of here, and because it's 7:08. I want to be out here by 7:10. It's still daylight outside, and I know Langston wants to get home. Langston has a newborn baby. He got children. He got sons. He got a baby girl. And I know he wants to get home to his baby girl. I don't know if you've seen him on Facebook. I have, because I get on him every time. If I look up Facebook and I don't see him, I wonder where he's at. But he has that baby girl. You haven't seen this brother hold his baby girl in his arms. I mean, just gentle. And see, if you know Langston, I don't have the magic to turn a camera to Langston right now. But if you see Langston ain't no small brother, and he ain't got no small hands. Langston got some big old hands, boy, but when he's cuddling his baby, he's so gentle, like a gentle giant, and I say that, because you give flowers what flowers do, and, that is just so beautiful and everything, and I applaud this brother, that type of thing. Or, I get to be, I'm the godfather. Yeah, what I was going to do, I was going to walk in here one day, I was going to put like a little, ball or something in my jaw, so I could come in and look at Langston and say, Langston, where's my God, baby? I want to see my God, baby. I like the Godfather, Marlon Brando and all that. That's a whole different show. But anyway, I just, love that. And, you embrace families and parents that take care of their babies. Take care of your children. They're your gift. They've been given to you as a gift. And when you got a priceless gift, take care of that gift. That's what you do. I watched, another one of my adopted children, Elena. Elena growing up, that's my boss there. That's about, I tell people I don't run Creative Vision, Elena does. That's my baby, that's April's daughter. And let me tell you something, everybody vows for it. Last year when she came to help with the concession stand, well, she was Johnny on the spec, she was there. But she's graduating. She's graduating this year. In April this year, she's graduating. And she's going to college, and everything. But let me tell you something. She's 17. She's 17 years old. And she ran into a situation at her school. And counselors and a teacher, somebody challenged her in her situation. And she stood up because she believed in what she was doing. 17. She stood up and she got her program that she wanted to get going and wanted to accomplish and get it done. She stood up because why? She saw her mama stand for what was right. She's around people who created visions who are standing up for what's right. She saw the example, and they stand up as fathers and their sons as mothers and their daughters and sons. As they see you stand up, they will stand up. And if they learn to stand up now while they're young, they will not play the game, they will change the game. And if they change the game, that will be a tribute to you and what you do. I'm getting ready to get out of here. I just want to say that to y'all, man. But it's okay. And tomorrow, just show you, don't even let the weather take your joy away. It's not going to be 80 degrees tomorrow. It's going to be a little colder. A little harder. But don't let that take your joy, because spring is just around the corner. We're getting ready to get them warm days. And then some of you are going to be just as crazy talking about it's too hot outside. It was too cold, now it's too hot. I'll tell you, be blessed you wake up in the morning to even experience that hot and cold. Be blessed that you have emotions to even use. Be blessed that you have a gift. As I tell everybody, donate. CV Online. I want to thank April and Langston for putting up with me every Monday. I thank you for that. I thank you for your example to me with your children. And last but not least, who's watching tonight, my baby sister, Stephanie, I love you so much. I'm telling you, I love you. Oh my God, you're my rock, baby girl. You mean so much to me. And my nieces and nephews and everybody, all of you, Gaylena, Nikki, all of you mean a lot to me. Stephanie, you're my rock, baby. If it wasn't for you, there's no telling where I would be mentally. I thank God first, and then I thank you for being in my life. I love you, baby girl. As we call each other, as I call you Bull Girl, you call me Bull Boy, I love you, Bull Girl, without a doubt. And just know what you've done with the children you have adopted and called your own. And I've never heard you one time after adoption call them your stepchildren. I seen you call them your children. They're your daughters. They're the children, your children. I want to tell everybody, have a good week. We'll see you next Monday. Bishop Tammy Harris will be with us next Monday, the first African-American female bishop in the state of Iowa. She's going to be here. We're going to talk about the trials and tribulations. We're going to talk about the joys and the pain. So join us next week at 6 o'clock for what? Real Conversations with Akeo. 6 o'clock. Maybe about 6:10, but we'll be here. Here, between then, but we'll be here. And Langston will make sure we're on time. Like I said, tonight was my fault. But hey, as I tell you, each and every one of you, I love you. I love each and every. If I offended anyone, tonight's show, that's on you. It's not my issue. But if I ever did something wrong intentionally or unintentionally, please accept my apology. Accept my love. Because my love comes from here. I don't have time for hate. I don't have time to play games. So as I tell you each time, cvonline.us, that's how you donate. Also, sponsor this show. It don't cost a lot of money, not at all to sponsor. But I really would love to hold some T-shirts up, some cups up, or talk about you and what you're doing. But until then, until next week, till next Monday at 6, I say to you, peace, love, and much respect. The struggle is real. We can and must win. Have a good night, everybody. Listen, listen. It is not whether you are Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Republican, or Democrat. It's if you are ready to fight for justice for all, no matter what label you are under. Listen, listen. The question is not whether can you die for me. The question is whether can you live for me. If we understand our differences, our similarities will have substance. Listen, listen. The struggle is real. We can and must win. Listen. We can and must win. Listen, listen. It is not whether you are Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Republican, or Democrat. It's if you are ready to fight for justice for all, no matter what label you are under. Listen, listen. The question is not whether can you die for me. The question is whether can you live for me. If we understand our differences, our similarities will have substance. Listen, listen. The struggle is real. We can and must win. Listen. We can and must win.
Title: Family Emoji Discussion.